Hey guys, welcome back. I'm top music attorney, Miss Krystle, and this is your, what should we call it? It's a music business podcast. The place where you learn everything about the entertainment business, how to stay legally protected, and we're teaching you all of this for free every Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. p.s.t. As everyone is filing into the chat, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. How's the week going? Where are you guys checking in from? I'm gonna be doing a little ranting here in a second, but before we get to that, in today's show, we're gonna be covering a lot. We have our artist tip segment. We also have in music business news, Megan Thee Stallion. She's seeking $1 million in her her lawsuit against her record label. I had a chance to watch Hulk episode 1, and I have some thoughts. There's a giant slide in Detroit that's insanely fun but might kill you, and we'll be discussing why. And then also we're going to talk about the fact that Evanescence, their hit song Bring Me to Life, which was released in 2003, is now #1 on the iTunes charts. And no one knows why. We're going to discuss that as well. So hello in the chat. How is everyone? Thank you for being here. All right, so let me kind of go off on a little minor rant for a second, because I think, you know, if anyone watching is an artist, a business owner, maybe you can relate. So last year, I hired a marketing company, which I think, you know, a lot of us will do, but I hired a marketing company, not with respect to what I do as a musician, right, with my music, but I had hired a marketing company with respect to Top Music Attorney. Okay, so this was like right around the time that we were launching my record label course. And so I really wanted to, you know, put some meaningful effort behind marketing properly to record label owners who needed this course and needed the contracts and this and that. So anyway, we get together with this marketing company. Of course, they're all very expensive, but you know, if they're going to do the deal and help you and reach millions of people, how could you say no, right? So I hire this company, and part of the process is that you give them access to, you know, the social media page or pages that they're handling. So in the case of Top Music Attorney, I gave them access to Top Music Attorney, okay, which is this page. Boom! Now, this is probably one of our smaller accounts at this point. I think we have almost like 50,000 followers on Instagram, but, you know, we're doing okay. And as of last year, it was called Redhead Attorney, because at the time, the branding was Redhead Attorney. So in any case, hire the company, they get access, and, you know, didn't work out after a month, and so we disengaged, aka I fired them. And, you know, we just kind of went our merry ways. So, you know, fast forward to a few weeks ago, I'm in the account, and I'm taking a look around, and I noticed that the account or the page is owned by this other business manager on Facebook. Like, what's this? That's not right. And so, you know, after basically spending like almost a full day, a full business day, right? Because I'm an attorney, I have a law firm that I run. And so, you know, me taking time to try to troubleshoot this issue and figure out what's going on is a lot of time, okay? But anyway, so we're going in. I'm like, figure it out. You know, this page owns it. So I go back to this media company, go, hey, I'm going in the page history, and I see that you guys took over, you were admins for the account, and then this business manager took ownership of the page. What do you think? And, you know, did you set this up? And so, you know, I got some of the other team members who had been on my assigned team, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I think there was an account set up, and, you know, reach out to the owner, he should have it, this and that. So I reached out to this person, and, you know, he initially responded, and he's like, oh, you know, let me look into that for you. I'm like, okay, no big deal. So, you know, after that, I followed up, hey, haven't heard from you, what's going on? It's like 2 weeks lapsed, okay, and I'm sending like numerous follow-ups just to see what's going on, and I'm just dead silence. So at this point now, I'm like, okay, I'm going into not panic mode, but just kind of like, something's going on here, and we're gonna have to potentially escalate this. And so finally, you know, after the 2 weeks of, you know, dead silence, I go into lawyer mode. Okay. I'm not trying to threaten anybody, but like, we threaten people, just not that kind of way. But in any case, you know, you put together the demand letter and basically just say, hey, you're gonna get sued. Like, we're going to this next place. because you haven't responded. You have ownership of my asset and I don't appreciate it. And so, that warrants a call immediately from this person. And, it just starts this blame game of it must be me. I set up the account. And long story short, after now wasting yet another half of a day today, going through and being like, nope, didn't set this up. I wasn't running my ads. You guys were. Turns out they did set up the account. And so I ended up, because they were just like, we have no idea and we can't give you access and we didn't do it. And so, there's a process through Facebook where you can, submit a request. You have to do a lot of documentation. Hey, here's all the stuff as far as, entity, legal ownership, And so long story short, I did end up getting access to that account. And when I was added, I saw, who was the owner of the account. And so just long story short, be very careful with who you give access to. Obviously everyone's well-intentioned, especially if it's a marketing company. And sometimes mistakes are just made. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I think that I should have been told at the time of disengagement that there had been this other account set up that took ownership of my page. Found that out a year later, had to go through all of this. Ton of billable time that was lost. Wasn't able to assist my clients, wasn't able to do what I got to do. And ultimately, I resolved my own issue going through Facebook. So, sometimes you got to kind of go to war and, escalate things and do what you got to do to get a result and to get a response. And even for my artists who I represent, sometimes we got to do that, right? When your distributor isn't paying you money and you can't get a response, sometimes just getting a demand letter saying the same thing will get a response, because guess what? It came from an attorney. And that letterhead is very powerful. So if you are an artist, if you are in the music business in any kind of way, having an attorney by your side is helpful. If you happen to be an attorney for yourself, that's helpful too. All right, so we're gonna run the intro. Sorry guys, I just had to get that out. Okay, I work all day and then we do the show, and I don't have a moment to vent. And maybe you guys can learn, through my mistakes or experiences. So we're going to run the intro. I'm going to go to the chat. I'm sure I'm missing some comments. And I'm super excited. We have a lot of fun topics to discuss, and we'll get into all the things. Hey guys, I'm top music attorney, Miss Krystle. I'm an entertainment attorney, public speaker, and creator of the Top Music Attorney School for artists and record labels. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent artist. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss my weekly videos giving you my best tips on the music business, industry news updates, and teaching you how to stay legally protected. Let's go. Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening. Who has their tea? We're drinking peppermint with a little coconut oil tonight. Okay, who's not? Rule of thumb, always call back any attorney that calls you. Yes, Joel. I also have this one case that I'm working on right now, and we're at this point where we've settled it. You know what I'm saying? And so now the person on the other side just needs to pay. And so I'm in communication with this person, and then there's just delay after delay after delay and behind on payments. And, at some point when the attorney, so meaning me, says, hey, when you miss this next deadline, the hammer's coming down. We're filing the lawsuit. We're getting the, additional fees. You're going to basically rack up like $10,000 of additional fees. All you got to do is meet this next payment. And then you don't? Believe that attorney. So guess who filed a lawsuit today? Between all the mess. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that everyone should be respected. I think that even if you're not an attorney, obviously, if you say, hey, this is a big deal, you should get a response and you should get support. But, big mistake indeed. Geez, that's bananas. I see a lot of banana references. Okay, bananas, got it. We're liking the bananas. Social media likes to screw everyone who tried to work on media. Social media is very complicated, and it's difficult sometimes to even get responses through platforms like Meta, right? Facebook, Instagram, because they're dealing with such high volume. And so if you have an account issue, sometimes you can't ever get a response. So I get it, but we all doing good. So anyway, where are you guys checking in from? What time is it? We're, of course, going to be bringing in that Orko to discuss all things music business and entertainment related. And in a weird side note, for those of you who like cook, and more specifically steam, I've now realized that I don't think I know how to steam vegetables. And this just seems like such a ridiculous thing. I just have to put it out to the world to just figure out what's going on. It seems that of like every 5 times that I steam vegetables, I burn it. Okay, and I'm paying attention, and that's the key point here. It's not like, oh, I walk away and I leave it for forever, and then the water boils to oblivion and the pot burns. No, like I'm down there and I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm testing the vegetables, right? Because I'm just waiting to get to the desired softness. And inevitably, it just seems to burn. And obviously, the response here is going to be, well, you add more water. But no, you don't. But maybe you do. But no, you don't. Because if you have the steamer thing, okay, and then it has its little legs, my understanding is that you put the water up to the bottom of the steamer, right? You're not supposed to just have all of the veggies like in the water. Am I wrong on that? Let me know in the chat because I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I just really like my vegetables super, super soft, and so that's why I continue to let it boil, and I just don't even know anymore, but my vegetables got ruined, which has just added to my day. Okay, it's been a day, and this is all first world problem stuff, but you guys understand. All right, hello. So glad to have all you here. Okay, right on. Steam and burn. Yeah, what's up, Harley? Glad to have you here. Steaming is way frustrating. Okay, so it's not just me. I gotta be honest, I think that, like, when it comes to vegetable preparation, steaming your vegetables has to be the most easy way to do it. So, in any case, just blanch them for a couple minutes. Yeah, I need them like super, super soft. You know what I'm saying? Like super soft. Soft veggies. Yuck. Don't judge me. Okay? I like them soft. Stacy Williams, I want to know how to start a record label in Trinidad. Well, look, when it comes to just, starting a record label, we represent record labels and we do this all around the United States. But I do have record label clients that are out of country. Okay, and so what they do is because they have a presence here in the United States, they engage our office to represent them. And the answer is when it comes to kind of starting your record label, it is the same process with some slight variation, right? So where my recommendation, like in the record label course that I have, I'm going to kind of walk you through how it works typically here in the United States with copyright, with trademark, with, LLC registration or corporation registration. But regardless of where you live, it's usually a very similar process. And then all the stuff in between about actual operations and contracts, all of that is the same. And I've had clients ask me this, and they're like, is it different if you're in Germany about how you do the contracts and how they have to be worded? And the answer is no. You get to build your contracts and run your record label the way you want to do it, regardless of where you're at. So good question. And we have a free record label course you can take. Just go to topmusicattorney.com, and so that can give you a quick run through of kind of all the hot topics that you want to know about. Maybe less heat after. Oh shoot, look at this. I feel like this is really good. I always have it on super high, and I just leave it for like 15, 20, 25 minutes, something like that. All right, so we're gonna turn it down. All right, similar recommendation. My producer is sending me a message and saying, yeah, this is basic stuff. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate it, okay? Because we're here to learn and to grow as a community. Now, while the purpose of the show is to not talk about vegetables, nonetheless, why not? Okay, at any rate, let's go ahead. We're going to run music video Swear. And I will be back. We will bring that Orko in. This next segment is brought to you by today's sponsor, which is 30 Music Business Secrets Every Artist Should Know, which is a PDF that I am finalizing. And so basically, I'm breaking this down where it's like 30 key music terminology that you guys got to know. Okay? And And a lot of the terms you probably won't know, which is, going to be valuable in itself. But with each term, I give you a business industry tip or secret. And so it's to help you understand how this actually works, how it applies. So I'm excited for this PDF. We will have it here very soon. So stay tuned. Oops, I left the baby food up. My bad, my bad. But anyway, so we're going to run the swear music video and we will be right back. Oh, nope. Oh.
I love the dumb shit you do. But why is it all fun and games with you? I'm like a diabetic craving you and I'm pathetic and they sugar daddy baby who? I got a bad sweet tooth, got a sugar coma over you. Smooth and sweet like to ease when you need my candy sugar daddy baby who? Sugar's my escape. When the dark keeps me awake. Forget all my mistakes. I like that sweet little cream. Super sticky, gotta lick it clean. Living in perfection in the sugary convection with my candy sugar daddy baby who? Lollipops the sunny dew. Jellies in the belly working through. Addition to prescriptions is affliction. My addiction to my candy sugar daddy baby who? Sugar's my escape. When the dark keeps me awake. Forget all my mistakes.
Hey, thank you very much. All right, so that was not swear. And although I swear I was saying the correct name, that is sugar. And I knew that, and I just kept saying the word swear. So there we are. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm going to bring in that Orko, and then we are going to get into all things business news and music news related. Here we go. Hello.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Shout out to the community. Thank you guys for being here, joining us every week. We're here Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. You can count on us to bring you all the interesting, fun news and help you along with your career. We should be having some of these artist reviews. I think we have one coming up this Friday. So make sure that you guys are all aware of that. Send your music in. I'm loving going through the music of this first artist review that we got submitted and looking forward to it. But I'm excited to be here.
Hey, all right, so I don't know what order you want to go in. I have She-Hulk as number
Yeah.
one. You want to
Let's do
maybe
it.
jump into that? Okay, so I wanted to touch on She-Hulk because we did 2 reaction videos reacting to the trailers. And of course, She-Hulk episode 1 came out a few days ago. We're a little late to the game. It's been on the queue, but we finally had a chance to watch it last night. So I thought in today's episode, we'll give you not only a quick breakdown, but also a lawyer's reaction to She-Hulk. All right, so just let me lay the land. Some of you may have seen this. And if you haven't, this is an intentional, walking you through what happened. So she's the deputy district attorney.
So there's gonna be spoilers in this first.
There are
episode.
intentional spoilers in this.
But at the end of the day, even with these spoilers, you're not gonna really. Nothing's really gonna be spoiled, so you're fine.
Okay, so of course Jennifer Walker, who is She-Hulk, she's the deputy district attorney, and so it opens with just a close-up on her face and then slowly pans out where she's practicing her closing argument for a case that she's handling. And, I think kind of pretty quickly they get right into, this scene where she's practicing, and then this other attorney in the office is like, "You sure you don't want me to do it?" And then her paralegal is like, "She did great. She's wonderful." And so there's already kind of this tone of, because is she a female attorney? And so that's why he's saying she's not good enough. And so I kind of, there's that sentiment that happens a few times throughout the episode, which actually I thought was pretty cool as it evolved. But in any case, so she ends up getting Hulk's blood. There's this scene where they're driving along and then there's a car crash, spaceship or something. I think he's about to get served some legal document. But in any case, that's what happens when you see the law coming. Run! So there was an accident. And in the process, she gets some of his blood in a wound. And so now Jennifer changes to She-Hulk. And so she goes into this, raging spiral, and she's running through the woods and kind of freaking out. So then we see her wake up and she's confused. And so she wanders into, would you call it a bar? Was it a bar or like a restaurant?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, it was like a
Yeah, so kind of a dive bar feel about it, and then some girls see her disheveled, and they in the bathroom they're like, "Oh my gosh, what happened? Who did this to you?" And what I did like about this moment is that all the women were immediately trying to assist her, versus she kind of looked like a homeless, destitute person, and rather being off put by her, they immediately go to help. They're putting their clothes on her, giving my cell phone. So I liked that sense of just like trying to help someone when they looked like they were in need. So then, we kind of fast forward. She wakes up to this beautiful, she's in a beachfront host, or she's on a beachfront estate. Okay, so beautiful scenery. And so this is Hulk's kind of property slash getaway slash how is he able to afford this? But in any case, this is where he kind of walks her through. This is what happened to you. I guess she has this, genetic factor that makes her blood that much more unique. And so he walks through all of this. And I think at this point that Orko was kind of tuning out when we were watching it because they got to do the backstory.
Yeah, no, I hate it's just it's usually just first episodes of TV shows. Like I really don't care about just get into the show already. And like for me, there was just so much stuff with the Hulk where I understood that you had to like have that in there. Like I didn't really care about it. Like and if he's not going to be a main character in it, it just kind of felt like a waste of an episode. So like it was cool. I mean, it was fine. Like my overall thought of the show was I actually liked it and I'm looking forward to other ones, but it's just the first episode of things are always hard. Like it's just, you got to explain who the characters are and you always got to kind of get through them. And it's just like, ugh, it's just like, let's just get to it. Let's get to the, where I really thought where it started to pick up was later on, where it's like getting into like the court kind of scene stuff. Like that's the stuff that I really want to see. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a picture or a still from the scene where they're in his lab because I had a question. When they're in the lab, and we saw this in the trailer, but when they're in the lab, he puts her in this chamber, and then what do you call them? Like,
The
saws.
saw blades. Yeah.
Yeah, there's saw blades in the wall, and he's basically like, we need to be able to trigger it, so your She-Hulk comes out or whatever. And I'm just curious why he has this torture chamber in his basement. Has anyone commented about that? Why does this guy have a torture chamber ready to go in his basement?
He's preparing, he has his own saw room.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll talk about those movies later. But in any case, so, as part of the training, what we do find is that she adapts very quickly. And he's like, this is going to take 15 years for you to kind of come to terms and learn to control it. And she basically has a handle on it immediately. And although he's trying to instill good things about mindfulness to control your emotions, because he goes, you are a danger to other people, right? Because you could transform, you're going to hurt other people. And she's just kind of joking around. She doesn't care about any of these, and she thinks it's all kind of woo-woo. But the one thing that I did kind of take, I guess, heart or to heart was, from the mindfulness and the yoga and just how incredibly important that is. And, even for me as an actual attorney, that's not something I have really done for the majority of my adult life, and I really only kind of adopted those practices very recently. So that's a whole other thing. But I liked the sentiment.
I do like the dynamic that that they had with each other. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to make it sound like I have a problem with the Hulk. Again, my whole problem is just first episodes of things. It could have been anything that happened. Anytime you do like a backstory, it's just boring to me. Um, but I did like that. I did like that, he was really trying to educate her on all the things that he learned. And although he was jealous the whole time and kind of frustrated because everything just came so easy to her. And, I did like that he was like, he was really working and trying to better himself constantly. And I think that's something that we all, need to take a shot from. So
Well, speaking of shots, so there's a scene where they're like getting drunk, but then Hulk goes, because we're so big, it takes us a long time to get drunk, and we really don't ever get drunk. And so then you see the aftermath of their drinking frenzy, and there's like 30 bottles of vodka and all these different alcohols on the ground. And I'm like, if you do the math on that, that's like $6,000.
yeah, no,
And they're not even drunk. What a waste.
no, that was the whole thing. And he was like, when he was trying to explain that as a good thing. And I was just like, I don't even understand what the point of that scene, you know what I mean? Like for of doing that seems incredibly wasteful. And, somebody's got to clean all that stuff off the beach. You know what I mean? All those
That's a
glass
good
bottles and
point.
stuff. Like who is he? I didn't see him taking out any trash. I'm sure he did, but where's that all go?
I liked the thunderclap. So we've seen
That was
Hulk's
fun.
thunderclap, and so she's doing like she does it a couple times while they're fighting. It's like an applause, a thunder applause. But I get there's a scene where she's trying to leave, and she's like, "You do your thing. I still want to be a lawyer. I don't care that I'm a She-Hulk. I'll figure it out." And so he's trying to stop her, and they get into this pretty violent battle. And for me, I'm like, because they're in Hulk form, it seems way more obviously like, comic book ish. And
Less
so
toxic.
well, yeah, and I'm like, if they weren't in Hulk form and they're beating the crap at each other, and more importantly, he's beating the crap out of her, would we feel differently about this scene?
Either one of them. I mean, like they're cousins and they're sitting there fighting like that, and they were really trying to hurt each other, and they're like, oh, it's fine, we can take it, but I don't know. I actually was like, oh, that's kind of it's kind of disturbing, that scene, but it was still action packed and fun. I tend to look at things. I always tend to overly dissect things.
I think that's what happens to us as we get older, and we look at things through our lenses of our
being
views
older,
of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
We all read way too much into this stuff. But anyway, so the last scene, so this character Tatiana, and I looked this up because I don't know this character, but according to Villains fandom, Tatiana is an antagonist in Marvel Comics. She's a prominent criminal, the wife of the Absorbing Man, and the arch enemy of She-Hulk. So she is very strong. She's very resilient to high heat and things like that. So she's a good equivalent, and so she can fight She-Hulk. But in any case, so we see, she's like breaking into the courtroom, and She-Hulk, her assistant or her paralegal's like, all right, it's time, time to change and save the day, which Jennifer does. And then after she knocks out Tatiana, she puts her high heels back on, and, her clothes are all ripped, obviously, from being stretched. And she's like, Your Honor, I'm ready to give my closing statement. So again, that was yet another little, she's going to kick butt and do her thing, but then still be composed and ready to do her job.
Now, yeah, then that's where I had the hardest time, because for me, that was when they started showing the courtroom. That's when I started getting excited. That's what I want to see. I want to see these cases. Like, I wish that it was more really, I hope that the future episodes are really focused kind of on that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, you can have some action in there. I mean, obviously it's She-Hulk. People are going to be tuning in for that. But I think it would be really refreshing if it's treated like I'm just interested in those stories. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so, as far as kind of our takeaway, nothing life-changing for this first episode. We definitely want to see more. And this was my interest. I
thought it was funny. I thought it was funny, though. Like, I did think it was funny. Like I thought the jokes were funny. I thought that her whole obsession with Captain America was hilarious. And if you make sure that like other, because when she was done, we watched it. She walked out, and I guess there was a final scene like in all these Marvel movies. And I think it's pretty funny. I like the humor and the jokes that they're putting in there.
No, and everything's well done. Everything's well done. No,
yeah, no problem with it. Just first episode slump. That's just my problem with every show, though, except for that House of Dragons that we watched. Is that what it's called? The Game of Thrones show. That first episode was fantastic, but we'll save that for another time. But so my rule isn't always.
Yes, but we'll be continuing to follow and update you guys as the episodes come.
I'm excited.
All right, moving on. What do you think? Let's do maybe Evanescence.
You want to go there? Let's do
Let's
it.
go there.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. So Evanescence 2003 hit "Bring Me to Life" is topping the iTunes charts for some reason. All right, so apparently this is like a number one, and it just came out of nowhere. But when the song was originally released, obviously it was a huge hit. 3 million copies in the United States, 1.2 million in the UK, and then beyond that, just a billion streams on YouTube, literally. And so it's just been kind of the subject of endless memes. We've seen it kind of resurging on TikTok, just as fans of Amy Lee and Evanescence continue to promote it. But for me, I haven't really seen like a viral moment on TikTok specifically to kind of support or explain why now the song has hit number one. Now, on a side note, for those of you in the chat, what do you think? Are you excited that the song is getting a whole new life? And even now, it's getting all this press coverage too.
No, it's pretty cool, and I spent about 45 minutes just looking at trying to get different places to not only confirm this placement of, because it's very hard to find iTunes download charts. Now, this isn't the streaming charts. This is the like I'm paying for it, and I gotta, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna own this song, so it's a very different chart than the actual streaming chart. But to find that, and then just to find the reason why, I was looking for any article or something that would cite something about a viral moment that happened, and there really wasn't. The only thing that they could really cite it is that they're, people are really having a great time on the Evanescence Corn tour, and they're coming out and they're doing their other song. What are they doing? Like a Freak on the Leash or something like that together, and they're
Are
not
they
doing
performing
this
that
song.
together? That's
Yeah,
smart.
so
Okay.
and they're just saying that their songs have just been incredible. So it could be like the fans from these concerts, which are getting they're selling numbers on those, could be ramping it up, because again, these are people actually paying for music. So think about how many people they're actually paying for a download, not just streaming. So it's a very different chart, but people are putting their money where their mouth is. And I want to pull up the chart real quick just to show you, because this is kind of weird. So this is one of the things that could have explained it is the Evanescence "Bring Me to Life" was put on the 69 cents sale list.
That's interesting. Okay.
So that could have something to do with it, because I think most songs are like like $1.29, I believe, for most singles. And then what's interesting is, so on the right side of the screen, you'll see it says the top songs. You'll see Evanescence right here, "Bring Me to Life." Then you'll see Nicki Minaj, right? So, but she's also 69 cents, so maybe not. And then you have that Don McLean "American Pie," which is at number 3. Which again, I spent some time looking to see why American Pie is at number 3. Did it get a great placement in the show? Like anything? And no, it's just up there. As well as Creedence Clearwater is at number 9 with "Have You Seen the Rain." So these are all like older. I mean, I don't know if I'm not going to call Evanescence a legacy act. They're still pretty current, but they're breaking in, and it just goes to show that these songs can still have impact, and they're still getting out there somewhere. Maybe there's a car
Amy
commercial.
Lee
I don't know.
Forever says there was actually a question on Spotify's Hurdle on August 21st, so people massively listen to "Bring Me to Life" now. Spotify Hurdle,
I heard
say?
I did see something. Somebody mentioned something about Hurdle, but I'm not really familiar with what Hurdle is. So what is that, like it's like a game, I'm assuming, with Spotify. Maybe that's why.
Hurdle, that daily musical intros game.
But
Oh.
but at the same point though, that's on Spotify, so they're on a completely different platform. So that's streaming. So if you're on Spotify playing a Hurdle game, wouldn't you just stream it for free on Spotify and not go to iTunes to buy it? I don't know. It's odd, but congratulations. I love all this
for sure.
Evanescence resurgence that's been happening. They've been kind of on a roll. We've been covering them on this channel a lot, covering all the the departure of Jen Margera, and the new was a bassist from Sick Puppies, and then the Evanescence bass player moved over to guitar. We've been covering all that and just what that means, and real excited for them. Let's go.
100%. All right, let's move on. Let's do Megan Thee Stallion.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. All right, here we go. So Megan Thee Stallion, she's now seeking 1 million in her lawsuit against her record label 1501 Certified Entertainment. So we covered this already. We'll be sure to link it up for you guys if you want to check out that last episode. But as far as kind of talking about the lawsuit, the basis of it is that her label is saying you have so many albums you have to give to us before your contract ends. And she's saying, hey, I have basically delivered that amount, which includes this last album that she dropped. And so they're saying, no, you have not met it. So that's kind of the baseline. And we'll talk about why they are saying that she hasn't versus why she's saying that she has. But on top of that, her record label is also saying she's been making all of this money from her tours and her sponsors and her merch. And pursuant to the contract that they have with her, she's required to pay a certain portion to the record label. They're saying she hasn't, and so they're seeking millions of dollars from her for those alleged breaches of contract. So, what this kind of comes down to is, how does the contract define an album? Right? So I've had artists where we have these squabbles with the record label because, the artist will deliver an album and the artist will deliver an album to the record label, and the label's like, great, thanks so much, we'll distribute it. But this doesn't count towards the number of albums that you owe us, because if, for example, in the contract it says, an album has to be 12 songs. If you give an album that's only 10 songs, you didn't, meet the minimum threshold. And so that's part of kind of what
which
they're
gets
claiming,
kind of
but
does that get kind of wonky then? So like, what do you do? So then did you just give your label a free album without knowing, and they're not going to point it out to you? They're like, oh, we just thought you were like all real excited to be on the label, gave us a free record. Like what do they, that's not going to
well,
count?
no, and it's not even free, right? So just think about it. When you're signed with the label, during that term, you're exclusive. So while they'll say you have a minimum of so many albums you have to produce, if you give us extra EPs or singles or albums,
Great.
cool. We're your exclusive representation and distribution. So great. And then they also own it. Remember that, guys. We talk about this. Record labels own your music. So of course she's going to bat. And I think it's over the Hotties album primarily. They're saying, well, you had singles that you had released previously from other albums and remixes and all this stuff.
And freestyles.
That didn't. Yeah. And so they're like, if the baseline language is that you have to give us, for example, a minimum of 12 songs, they all have to be original songs. Well, your remixes, right, and the songs you put on from other albums aren't original. So therefore, it's not an album. Of course, they have a huge stake in trying to get more albums out of her. She's one of the most popular artists today.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of tricky, and that's why this channel and just information like this is so important if you're an artist coming up, because so many artists are just so hungry for that opportunity. And a lot of times, this obviously this label was able to do a lot for her, so they have connections and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that you should not still be looking at everything, understanding all of your contracts, going over everything with a fine tooth comb with your entertainment attorney. Like, understand, you need to understand. And if you don't, ask questions, find out, because I mean, if she knew, and maybe even like submit the album to your attorney before you submit it to, your label, because it's like, so they can ask you all the questions to make sure all the contract, boxes are checked.
When things start getting contentious with the label and now we're having disputes over whether we satisfied certain options, trust me, I'm absolutely involved with the client, because now we know that there's some funny business and the label's going to try playing games. But back to Megan Thee Stallion. So in her amended complaint, she alleged that the record label was actually the source of the leak of her traumatized album, which was leaked on August 4th. And so she's like, they leaked it, and so there's like additional damages, and then they're responding, they're like, there's not a shred of evidence that we leaked the album. And then the representative saying, I don't even think my guys would know how to leak it. That's nice representation.
I'll tell you what. So like I read that, and then when he was like saying, why would we leak it? That wouldn't be in our interest. And I was like, okay, I hear you there. And then when they said, our guys wouldn't even know how to do that if it's done. Well, first of all, yes, they do. And second, I mean, your little sister knows how to leak an album. It's called putting it on the internet. And then, as far as they wouldn't benefit from, well, if they were trying to keep Megan locked into the contract and find loopholes to keep her in contract and do another album, that would be one way of, a shady way of doing it. But I mean, that would be a way of doing it if that's their argument.
Yeah, so they're saying, the new album must include at least 12 songs from her studio performances that were previously unreleased musical compositions. So that's what they're saying. That might not be what the actual contract said, right? So if the contract just said 12 original songs, then of course, if I was Megan's attorney, I would say whether it was included on another album or not, it's still an original song. And if you guys accepted it and you distributed it,
right,
then we're good.
Yeah, there's definitely got to be more checks and balances for the on the artist's behalf, like as far as being proactive as the artist, making sure that everything. I mean, there's so much money, especially when you're an artist like Megan Thee Stallion. There's so much money put into your career and on the line that you would be foolish not to really try to know your business. And not that she didn't. I don't know. Like this, she could know exactly what she's doing, but yeah, no, you got to look at those things.
Yeah, and then on a last note, because someone had asked this question, and actually, do attorneys add loopholes to contracts to benefit the artist or label? Yeah, bet we try. So,
who
sometimes.
Hires you?
Well, it depends on who I'm representing, but sometimes the other side will leave something out or make a mistake, and it is not my job to correct it, to help the other side have a stronger case or have a stronger contract. So it might even be unintentional, or I might be trying to create these loopholes. Absolutely. That's why you want to have a good attorney who knows how to word things, because sometimes literally a comma or one word can make the world of difference to what a sentence means. But anyway, so about that earlier comment about Roc Nation. So the record label, it said everything seemed to be all kosher with Megan. She hired Roc Nation to manage her nearly 3 years ago. And then from there, it seems to be that they were mentoring her. And that's when, although she was happy with the label, that she started to really question things and to be like, I haven't paid my royalties. I'm not happy with how things are going. So that's the state of what's going on. But obviously, this is a lawsuit. It's going to continue, and we will continue to cover it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, moving on. So this one is where, having fun and going on slides can just kill you. So let's talk about that, and I'll pull up these videos.
So this is oh, all right, hold on. Yeah, my bad. There you go.
All right, so what we're going to watch, these are the 5 best videos of this giant Detroit slide destroying people like they're the Lions' defense. Okay, so let me make this nice and big so you guys can see it.
Yeah, so this I mean, obviously some of this footage has gone viral, but this is at the Belle Isle giant slide in Detroit, Michigan. And this is a slide that it costs you $1 to ride, and they had it closed because of COVID, and they were getting it ready. They were getting some safety concerns they had for it, and then this is opening day of that slide.
All right, here we go.
And as you can see, these kids are just getting all.
Right, and that's one.
Yeah, there's I mean, all these videos are going viral. Like these kids are just getting.
Look at that little. What is she, like 8?
This stuff is crazy, and like they're
she's even
holding their heads.
Oh, look at that. Here, let me see. Oh.
Yeah. I was watching this and I was just like, oh my god. Like now, so go all. Yeah. So obviously,
we'll go through them. Let's talk about it for a second. So, what this kind of brings to mind are. What are those things where you kind of you get shot out into like a lake, and there's one of those fluffy balloon things that you're supposed to land in? You know what I'm talking about? Obviously, this is a slide. That's like a shooty thing. But that's kind of what it brings to mind as far as something that is just so like obviously potentially dangerous. For this, I was really just surprised because I wasn't expecting it to actually be launching the users or the guests.
Well, it's just crazy because when I saw this, I was just like in shock, and it's just like not only because, like I said, a lot of the comments that I was reading in the original stories when I was seeing it was just like the obvious. When you saw this kind of happening to the first, I don't know, let's just say 20 kids, why do you send your kid up there to go down it? Why wasn't it immediately shut down? Why did they keep launching kids down this thing without any kind of, and then I saw a lot of people talking about, when I was a kid, this thing has been open since the 60s.
1960. Holy, and that was shocking to me.
So I mean, if this is, and they go, I've been going there for years. It's like a rite of passage. You get hurt on this thing, and it made me kind of feel bad for children with parents. Like I see this kind of like a phenomenon with parents. It's like even kind of maybe with my mom. Back in my day, I used to go through this suffering, so you should appreciate, or you should suffer a little bit too, or something like that. So some parents that like want their kids to get hurt on these things is like a rite of passage because it's fun, and I'm like, no, I don't want my kid to hit in their head. Like, I don't like, you see your kid getting launched and you're like, that's fine. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's any
Well,
kind of
and
a
then
waiver.
yeah, so Joel had a question, are they signing anything before they go? If they've been around for this long, you would imagine that there's been some kind of complaint or lawsuit up, more than once because someone does get hurt. It's just a matter of course. Even if you have a safe amusement park that people go through, they still find ways to hurt themselves. So through that, you learn that you gotta have those waivers, and oftentimes it's just through purchasing the ticket. So if you're purchasing it online, there'll be terms of service, and those terms of service will say things like a waiver or limitation of liability.
So this thing is interesting because it is a $1 attraction. So if it's a $1 attraction, what kind of tickets are they going to be actually printing up, like financially? Because I mean, this is something that the city of Michigan or the state of Michigan puts on. For Detroit. So it's the Michigan Department of Natural Resources that puts this on. So it just makes me think of what kind of waiver could they realistically even have or even realize that they're signing. Now the thing was shut down for a few hours after kids were getting launched and people were getting hurt and obviously complaints were happening. And so now it's back reopened. But what they did was I think they're spraying water on the slide in between rides and they're doing little things to help make it less slick. And then they showed a
Here, let's
demonstration.
let's watch another one. Let's see if it's less slick. Oh my gosh.
I
Oh
mean,
my gosh. Oh my
look at that. Oh my
gosh.
gosh. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
these
I don't
kids
know
are
about
just
that.
getting tossed. Like, look at this guy. Yeah, and I mean, look at all these people on the side. So
Ooh.
everybody's just running up like they can't wait to do that.
And
And
they're in blankets. They're not even like on
yeah,
something.
they're burlap sacks, so they can slide down the smoother because it's metal.
I don't know if
Um,
you watch this. One more time. One more. One more.
oh, they lost their shoe. They lost their shoe. That lady just puts that shoe aside. Yo, I'm gonna tell you, there's out here in Arizona, there's a park that we go to every now and again, and it's a beautiful park. There's a lake in there, and there's these cool bridges and lights and beautiful lit fountains, and there's all these play areas for kids that like I would have loved when I was a child. Now, there's also this giant tower that's like one of those spider web things, but it goes up like I would say like 3 stories high, maybe. There's no supervision. Of course, there's like a soft play mat like on most playgrounds, but kids just climb in this spider things. And if any of them were to slip, they would fall. They would either hang themselves or they could like sever their head. Like I just see or fall and just break their neck. Like it's so high up with no supervision. It reminds me of the old giant slides as a kid back in the day we had with the big giant towers that they got rid of because they were just so dangerous and kids were falling off these huge slides. I don't know. I'm a big safety guy. I'm a big safety first.
Yeah. No, and I tend to be a little less extreme than you. I think that
I'm pretty
sometimes
hardcore.
there's, let's have the kids play and we'll try to keep them safe and that kind of thing. But you also can't go too hard so that, they're not experiencing what it is to be a child and to fall. But obviously, to your
They
point, if
fall
you have something
enough.
where it's like three, stories high, if they fall from that's different than
They're
them just kind of,
kids are
falling
gonna
off the
get
swing.
hurt. They're gonna get hurt. Yeah, they're gonna get hurt off the swing. They're gonna get hurt on their bike. They're gonna get hurt walking and running into the counter because they're so excited to get ice cream out of the refrigerator. That's fine. I don't need to launch them off of a slide to see if how tough they are. It's not that serious, bro. Like you want those bills. You want those medical bills bad. People hate their kids, man. I'm telling you.
Well, guys, so that's all we have for you as far as our business segment. We're going to move on. Before we do that, we'll, of course, just do a couple more plugs. But I have a great artist tip for you that I'm going to go through, and then we'll have
This
one
is
more video.
fantastic. I was really excited about this artist tip. So if you're hang out for this one, and this is a conversation. that you'll be able to have with your artist friends and kind of help them out, because we all have friends that maybe that are in, the arts that, could be in it for too long, in the game too long. It might be time to check out. And some that just need that extra push. So this artist tip is fantastic. I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, but well, of course, that Orko will be back with us on Friday for our business segment as well as our artist review. We'll probably have someone on at that time, which we're excited about.
Yeah, and so make sure that you're hitting like and subscribe on the stream. And yeah, we are doing these artist reviews. Hopefully, I think we have something scheduled for Friday. I think that's going to work out. But make sure you get your stuff in, get your slots in. We have all the links down below, so make sure that you click that or just head to the address. But I appreciate you guys all for being a part of the community. I look forward to this, being with you guys every couple times a week. And let's go on this artist tip.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to do this artist tip a tiny bit different this time. I normally kind of just get through the substantive material, and, as we're kind of going through, I usually don't have a chance to really check the chat. But on this one and in upcoming artist tip segments, I'm going to specifically be trying to incorporate your questions and comments. So if you do have any questions as I'm kind of hitting the various points, feel free to drop those. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot to do... We had this whole thing last time, and we came up with bits, and I forgot to do it this time. We'll have to remember for next time. Are you ready? All right, so in today's music business tip, we'll be discussing the 5 signs that you should quit your music career. Now, some of this may come off a little harsh, but, for someone who has been in the music business and seen it all, since I was basically 5 years old, I just know when there are signs of someone who just doesn't have what it takes. And knowing what these signs are is what's going to help you to avoid the pitfalls that are going to force you to end your career at some point. Okay, so before we get into it, make sure you share this video. Word of mouth is literally the most powerful thing on the planet when it comes to just kind of sharing a message. I have this channel because I want to have a free outlet for artists, for music business owners to learn how to stay legally protected, how to actually run their businesses and music careers. So if you learn anything from this video or any other content that I release, if you want to help in any way, if you just share this with one person that would be amazing. All right, so number 1, when it comes to signs that you should quit your music career, you're not actively marketing yourself. Okay, guys. Branding and content is really at the top of the funnel for what it takes to be a musician, an artist, and a successful anything in between. And when it comes to the kind of content you need to make and the frequency, I'm all knocking stuff over. It completely depends on who it is, and you have to figure that out for yourself. But I find that the biggest thing is fear. I find that the biggest thing of why someone is not posting regularly, why someone is not putting themselves out there or trying something new, is this unbelievable fear of low engagement, right? I'm going to post this thing and I know that this thing might not do well. And so I'm going to be embarrassed by the fact that it has low engagement. Fear of rejection, that you're going to put something out and someone's going to say something mean to you, right? Or they hate your song. Right? Our insecurities, we all have them, okay? And it's what you do with it when those feelings come up. And, as Chris says, you have to be posting on social media every single day. And even if it's not every single day, having some kind of strategy in place, whether it's, 3 times a week, but that you're being consistent. If you're just, kind of doing it when that burst of inspiration hits you, then you're not going to do it consistently. You're not going to build a consistent audience, and you're not paying attention to the people who are actually going to help you with your career. That's the biggest thing. As artists, we're thinking so much about us, right? How does this make me look? Am I going to be rejected? Does this hurt my feelings if they say that? But if you kind of disconnect yourself and you say, no, the point of this is that I want to share my art, my music, my voice, my ideas, and I want to do it with people who care about me. And if someone doesn't like my shit, that's cool. They're not for me. We're not meant to be connected in this artistic space. And so if you have the mindset of you care about the people who care about you, you're going to be way more inclined to just put it out there and kind of fly your freak flag, as I like to say, and just be yourself. And for me, especially with my own content, I put out no less than 26 to 28 separate pieces of content across many social media platforms, many accounts every single day. Okay. And so for me, that's even just an example of I do not have time to make, that much content. So it comes down to strategy. It's knowing that I want to serve my audience and I want to put out, educational information. I want to help people. I also want to entertain people. So now it becomes understanding that I'm just not going to care. I'm just going to do what I want. That now I can put a system into place and I can execute. And so you can do that kind of volume, but you got to start from a place of I'm just going to do it. Okay. So that's number one. Number two on the 5 signs that you should quit your music career. You aren't getting contracts signed. You'll get contracts and you'll get them signed if you take yourself seriously. If you are like, hey, I think that we should do a contract for this deal and actually put it into a writing, and then someone pushes back and they say, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't do contracts. And then you back down, you don't believe in yourself, and you don't know the value or any way that you're going to be disempowering yourself by not having a contract. Case in point, the last time that I did a handshake deal, which is what it is if you don't get a signed contract, it's a verbal agreement. That's way more tough to enforce, which is way more tough to kind of get disputes resolved. The last time that I did that was prior to going to law school. And I had to deal with a producer, and it was like, for a song, and I had nothing else going on. And, I did some stuff for him, for some of his music, and he was going to do something for me on my song. And so we got through all of this, and we're at the last step, right? So we're going to mix and master. And he comes back, and, me little, what was it? I must have been 17 at the time, 18. And he comes back, and he's like, I need you to pay me thousands of dollars to do this last step. When everything beforehand had been an exchange of services and an understanding, right? And, at the time, I didn't have the money to pay that. And so it was really tough because he had breached our contracts by now demanding money. I didn't know that, but he had breached the contract. But, what ended up happening is that my project fell through. I had a music video that was in process. Like, the entire thing totally fell through, and I was totally devastated. So for me, that was the last time that I had a verbal agreement. But when it comes to just doing contracts and getting contracts, there are so many free templates. I have, how to keep your dukes up in the music business, right? Which is audiobook, download, go steal it somewhere. I don't care. In there are contracts, and you get them for free. And even if it's not mine, you can find stuff online. And so it's just really crazy that you would not put into place something to protect your rights because you care about it. These are your assets. Music is your legacy. This is how you're going to make money, and it's what's valuable. It's why a record label is going to come and steal them from you because they're so valuable, and you're going to screw yourself over by not getting a contract. Okay? So number 3, when it comes to our list of the 5 signs that you should quit your music career, you aren't trying to get better at what you do. Okay? So if you aren't actively trying to improve, you're going to become stagnant. And, if you're going to become stagnant in your career, you can't grow. And whether you're, a singer, a producer, a rapper, like you have to be constantly pushing yourself. And sometimes that's just through execution, right? That you're putting out music and you're doing content. But a lot of it, like for example, as a singer, you have to be consistently working on your voice. So even now, I've been singing for a very long time, but I still run into problems and I still have difficulties that I'm trying to work through. So I literally bought another course yesterday. And you have to be, investing in yourself with the extra, cash that you get. So if you invest in yourself, you listen to a music podcast, okay? Free outlet, music podcasts on, Spotify. Obviously, this is a music YouTube channel that we're going to teach you about the music business. Get a course, read a book. Be doing something, even if it's like 5 minutes a day, to be trying to learn about this thing that you're trying to master. You're all like, oh, I'm going to be successful in the music business, but you're not going to act like an entrepreneur. You're not going to learn. You're not going to push yourself. You're not going to invest in your music career. So if you're not treating your career like a real business, then you're going to get taken advantage of and you will not have a successful career. Simple as that. So number 4, when it comes to the 5 signs that you should quit your music career, you're not releasing music or you're not releasing music enough. All right, so this one kind of goes hand in hand with this idea of, marketing yourself. Obviously, we talked about that. But besides marketing yourself, investing in your time and generating a lot of content, all this goes hand in hand, but you have to actually release music. Okay? When it comes to the final thing that you release, I find that, even myself included, for a long time in my career, you hold your music so close to your chest because you don't want to put it out there and you don't want people to, analyze it, critique it. It's not good enough. Everyone at every level of music does the same thing. I mean, Kanye West, now known as Ye, he does this as well. He will release an album, he'll pull it, and he will re-release it with a new mix, with a new master. And so I get it. We all have a tendency to do this, but you gotta put out music because you don't know what's gonna resonate with people. And the new way that the music business is doing this, and specifically record labels, big record labels, the way that they're doing this is they are teasing music. They don't want to waste their money on you as an artist until they know a song is gonna have a little traction, that people want to hear it, right? So they're not going to record and mix and master, shoot the music video, book the tour. They're not going to do all that until they know that the music is performing well. So that means doing things like teasing before it comes out, right? Promoting for 2 months, making sure that the attention, the interest is there, getting the pre-saves, and then you drop that sucker. And then now people want to go watch your video. So then you shoot a music video. So, being willing to kind of put it out there and tease the music is really, really important. And you will thank yourself when you start to see the results of that. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you found us too. Case in point, put yourself out there and you will be able to connect with the people who need your help, will find your music interesting, all of the above. Number 5 on our list of 5 signs that you should quit your music career: you aren't taking care of your health. Okay, I want to touch on this because I find that, in the category of type A personalities, right? So you're just the kind of person who's just going to run yourself into the ground. You're neurotically organized and on top of things and constantly worrying about stuff. Definitely me. Or let's say, so you're very high stress, or let's say you're a type B personality, so you're more laid back and you're flexible. Maybe it goes too far. Maybe you're lazy. And so whatever it is that's kind of causing you to reach more for the junk food, right? Or to not go and prepare that meal. All of these decisions end up impacting your career. And this goes for anyone, any career, any day. And when it comes to not eating right, you're not working out, you're not taking care of your mental health, when you go down, everything else goes down. You're not going to be creating. You're not going to be creative. If you're in a state of panic and stress, the last thing that you want to do is think of that beautiful new music video, right? Come up with that amazing hook. So, you need to stop kind of making excuses, which we all do, to kind of continue these bad habits. You're sleeping in too much, right? You should get up that hour earlier to work on music before you have to go to your 9 to 5, It's harder, but what I have found, and there's this book, Atomic Habits, okay? So again, Atomic Habits, that I listened to recently. I've shared it with people. It's so good and just totally gets to the point, right? So it's you can listen to it on Audible, but it's not so much about you suck at life and you need to just have these amazing health, strategies and all this. It's about actually thinking about these small things that we can do, which make the biggest impact. So the baseline of the book is basically to say, if you can improve by 1% every day in 6 months, you're going to literally be a whole new person. So that tiny little increment that you make from having maybe a little less soda or no soda will make a massive difference over time, right? The interest compounds. And so I would recommend, checking out the book in general if you need just a little motivation and just to help maybe rethink how you're going to kind of re-strategize and get better habits that will then lead to, for example, more productivity, more time earned, right? So now you can work on those other things like the business end of your career, because that's really hard for people too, man. In one vertical, we're having a tough time getting motivated as artists to get in the studio and come up with that amazing song, and we are hating ourselves and being doubtful in our heads. That's one issue. And then over here, we have this whole other thing of business administration, legal protection, contracts, and it can feel very overwhelming. But if you are just saying, okay, I'm going to do a half an hour of this today, a little half an hour of this, tomorrow, then all of a sudden in a week's time, you've done an incredible amount to help yourself. And so these are techniques I've absolutely implemented, and you absolutely should as well. So like if you want to have a music career, don't allow yourself to fall into any of these 5 categories that I just went through. And always remember to stay legally protected. I'll come up with a new version or a new rendition or whatever you call it of my book at some point. For now, if you want to check it out, How to Keep Your Dukes Up in the Music Business, in there I'm talking about not just staying legally protected, trademarks, copyright, marketing. That's my biggest chapter because it is so important how to market yourself, the most important stuff to know, and techniques. But even for me, using these techniques in my lawyer life, in my music life, I mean, I've just tripled the numbers of my social media platforms. So they're techniques that worked, and I've learned from the absolute best. So be sure to check that out, get your contracts, and stay legally protected. Thank you, Steve on Facebook. I appreciate you very much. Every one song that made it onto the album, there's 5 that didn't. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the other thing too. Don't think that every, song that you create is a masterpiece. It feels like that. I can tell you, as an artist, I will, come up with a song with that Orko. He produces it magically, and I'm listening to it for weeks on end and months on end, and I just think it's so amazing. And then, maybe I'll be able to take a step back and then be more objective about it and be like, all right, so is this amazing song worth like a $20,000 investment to really properly do this and that? Music videos and promotion. And sometimes you have to be very objective and be like, I think it's amazing, but I'm talking about murdering, this guy, and maybe that's not, the best thing for this particular release. You never know. Okay, so very good point. Yeah, and then also, I guess since I'm talking about releases, middle of the night, another really effective tools for marketing yourself is to do cover songs. And so if you have viral songs or hit songs that you can cover that people already love, they have an opportunity to, kind of try you out to see if they like your voice, do they like your style, and then they can venture into more of your original music. So I have my new cover song, Middle of the Night. You can just search Miss Krystle on any music platform. All right, question. Would you ever have people on here to play their stuff for helpful critiques? I've seen on one channel that a guy charges to have people listen. Just a thought. Yep. And in fact, we specifically have an artist review segment. So you can click that link down in the description if you're interested. So we can have you on. And then if that's something that you want to do to actually play something live, I know that Orko and I are down. If you want to have it pre-recorded, that's cool. So it's kind of, we'll talk to you before we do your segment and come up with kind of what makes the most sense. But I think that's a great idea. CJ, a song like that would make a great horror or horrorcore song. Yes, it would fit. It would fit for some movies, right? All right, so that Orko, remind me, what's the video that we're doing? Because I already forgot. I'm just gonna say swear again. So we're gonna do one more music video, guys. I will be in the chat chatting with you as always. We'll be back on Friday at 7 p.m. p.s.t. And although I forgot the gavel. Even though I forgot the gavel, I posted a thing today that I'm going to show you. One of my assets that I posted had the gavel featured, and so we need to go ahead and show you since I wasn't able to incorporate it into the show. All right, so here we go. I'll just go over to Miss Krystle Instagram. Actually, it wasn't. It was yesterday. So look, I did one of my transitions. There it is. Here, I gotta pause. Boom. And then it transitions, and it's fun and all that. But the gavel made an appearance. Very good. All right, so we're going to be in the studio. We were recording yesterday and working on the new album. I'm so excited. So while I am doing cover songs and all that, I'm working on the original album with that Orko. And oof, not only are we making those hard decisions of like, we've loved these songs, and so some of them are still going to make the album, some of them aren't. We are excited to kind of start pushing these out. So in any case, guys, I love your faces. I will see you on Friday at 7 p.m. Hit that music video when you're ready. Bye, guys.
summoned you. Please come to me. Don't bury thoughts that you really want. I fill you up, drink from my cup. Within me lies what you really want. Come, lay me down, 'cause you know this, 'cause you know this sound. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, just call my name, I'm yours to take. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, I'm wide awake, I crave your taste all night long, till morning comes. I'm getting what is mine, you gon' get yours on no. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, oh no. These burning flames, these crashing waves wash over me like a hurricane. I captivate, you're hypnotized, feel power